Hi everyone, welcome back to ITOM batch 3 day 26. How are you doing guys today?
Doing
Good,
good.
Ajay. And you?
Good. Yeah, thank you. I'm also doing good. Now, let's start the session. So before starting the session again, I just want to check any questions from discovery related things till the time we have covered whatever the topics. Any questions from that? Okay, no. So let's get started. So today I'm going to be start the topic of the CMDB, how CMDB can help out to maintain the good or the CMDB capabilities able to help out to maintain good and healthy CMDB and how it's going to basically we are going to be discuss about that. So before starting that, so guys, what you have to be understand related to the CMDB, like first of all, when you are going for a customer implement the CMDB, like you need to analysis. Iklabe, do you have any questions? Can you go on mute, please?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, so when you are going to be implement the CMDB for customers, first of all, you need to be understand or analyze couple of things from the customer side. So the basic things which you just need to be understand in the CMDB, like what are the sources which customer is using to populate their CMDB. So let me share my screen. I don't have anything to showcase, but yeah. Okay, let me know once my screen is visible to you. I think let's open one more Excel. I hope my screen is visible to you guys. Excel sheet.
Yes, Ajay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So first, what need to be understand? We need to analyze the sources. So how many sources are there? Like, one, two, three, how they are populating or which table they are going to be populate. So let me give you an example here. We have one source, discovery, which is going to be update the complete CMDB, right? The second source will be example SCCM. SCCM is mostly work for Windows. Now in Windows, two things comes in the picture, which is first is computer class and second is Windows Server. So what is the difference between computer class and Windows Server? Basically, computer class is taking care about the end user devices. When I'm talking about end user devices means laptop or desktop, which is going to use by end users, means which don't have running a Windows Server OS. And the second is Windows Server, example iTunes, which is again for Windows Server and MacBooks or Apple products basically. Okay, and then we have JMF again for Apple products only. Then I'm talking about Apple products, that comes Apple mobiles, iOS, MacBook iOS and all, right? Then let's take an example. We have SolarWinds as well, which is again to populate a couple of type of classes that can be network, servers. Okay, and let's take an example of Red Hat as well, which is for Linux servers specifically. And now, just to give an example here, we have these type of sources available, right? So first we need to understand how many sources customer have Second thing, we need to understand the sources, what tables they are target to update. So as I given example here, discovery is already there. Customer still after discovery, that couple of sources customer have and he is using to update their CMDB from that sources as well. Now question comes in the mind, like basically if that's discovery already have the customer, what is the use of these particular products? What is the use of the third party sources customer is using? That we have to be analyzed with discussion with the customer, like definitely, as you know, like for normal end user products, which is laptop or desktop, customer is not going to utilize the discovery because the licensing cost will be high. If he's going to utilize the normal discovery, and end user count might be sometimes in an organization is more than 1 lakhs or 2 lakhs, right? So if it depends based on the how many employees working in that organization. If that is high, so it will going to utilize the licensing. So that's why customer thinks like we have out of the box or we have already third party products which is going to be help out to monitor that particular things. So why utilize discovery? So customer is going to be think like utilize for end user computings these particular product SCCM, Intune and JMF based on their demands or based on their requirements basically, right? But end of the day that SCCM and Intune are also going to be help out for Windows servers, right? Now the question comes here, why is customers required to update the Windows server as well? Yes. So the first thing here is now Windows server is going to be updated through discovery as well, update through SCCM as well, or Intune as well. So in these three things, now we need to understand which attribute is need to be populated, because discovery is taking care about the whole attribute if we are running discovery for Windows server, but couple of specific attribute where source of truth is SCCM and Intune that we have to be discussed, and then things comes in the picture for IRE that we called identification and reconciliation engine rules, right? So we have to be write IRE rules. We'll discuss about how we can write and how we can configure that one. But before that, it just we need to understand the how many sources customer have and what attribute he's looking to update from the different sources. So that is the one thing. Second things comes in the picture, data model of the CMDB. Now, what is data model of the CMDB, right? So every time when we are going to be discussed with the customer, we need to understand the customer requirements, like what are the parent table customer is looking for, or what are the parent classes customer is looking for. So, or we can say primary classes. Right. So when we are going to identify the primary classes with the customer based on understanding of the device available in their data centers, that couple of basic classes comes in the picture, which is Windows Server, Linux, and under Linux you have AIX, Unix, HPUX, and Solaris. So these are the flavor of the Linux basically I'm just putting here, right? Second, third is network. Under network we have router, switch, firewall, or load balancers. Then we have storage. Storage, we have couple of types storage is there, like SAN, NAS, or different type of storage OEMs are there, right? Then we have virtual machine or vCenter in simple words, which is responsible for ESX servers. Or virtual machines. Then we have databases, and then we have applications. So these are the majorly used classes in a customer environment, right? So when I mention vCenters, that can be possibility customer is using Nutanix as well as Hyper-V, which is a Microsoft products basically for virtualization. Right. So these are the basics primary classes which customer is using. Now, what we have to do, we have to be design a data model. What does that mean? Data model is basically helping out to represent for Windows Server what attribute customer is looking for, means what attribute customer is looking on the form, and what will be mandatory and non-mandatory on that form. Third thing is to design that particular form in that way a customer able to see the all required fields on the form itself. Fourth thing, we just need to analyze which attribute is going to be updated by which discovery source, or which source basically. It can be discovery or SCCM. Fifth thing is we need to be discussed, we need to be finalized about the manual attribute. So just quickly showcase you example here. I am on, let me go to the Windows. Okay, so I'm here on the Windows class.
Sorry, Jay.
Yes,
We do have anything like related to the cloud discovery and under the cloud, what all things comes in, because nowadays that customer on a very first go, like they are more concerned about their cloud discovered components, and they are more concerned about like having those things to be available in their
I'm
reporting in the dashboards.
definitely. I definitely agreed. We have it. I'm coming on that part as well very soon. Once we complete that, there are three or four sessions will be the CMDB, and the last thing for the cloud discovery, where we are able to see what attributes, what tables going to be populated by the cloud, basically. If you have some patience, you can wait. Otherwise, if you need, I can also showcase today as well.
No, I'm just like trying bringing in this point also, because in the list nowhere we have mentioned about the cloud. That's it.
No, it's not the case. If you see my sheet, I specifically mention
No,
about cloud.
the list which you have just prepared. That is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fine. So I just, I'm just preparing about the data model of the mean CMDB. Yeah, you can put one more cloud classes or cloud discovery.
In
I'm
fact,
coming.
on one of the discussion with like an
Mhm,
open forum on ServiceNow, I
mhm.
asked this question, like under the CMDB, do we have anywhere like in the CSDM we manage or monitor a cloud, and how we can just put that thing under the foundation data or something like that. So
Right, everything is there, right? So when we are talking now, I'm coming to that point as well. When we are talking about the foundation data, what are the foundation data for that tables? The foundation data will be users, groups, location, company, right? So if that's a foundation data, means users basically help out. We are going to be populate for assigned to, or any technical users or system owners. Groups will be what will be the change assignment group, what will be the normal assignment group, right? Location, again, it's a foundation again to track that where the CI belongs, which location all it is. And the company, if we have multiple organizations in a single domain, so or we somehow, if we are going to use some uh, basically hardware or some system from the any different company on the lead side, so we can also put that companies as well. So that's the foundation data which we are going to be tracked. I'm coming to that point slowly and gradually, but yeah, this just to thanks to, helping me out to remind that cloud classes is there. But yeah, that is also part of it basically.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm coming back to my screen. So basically, this is my Windows Server table. If you see, everything here is, this is designed in that particular way, but sometimes customer is looking to design in that way. Like we need to showcase couple of tabs here. Tabs is related to configuration. One tab is related to the business things, like or the manual attribute who are responsible for that, what attributes and all. And the third might be related to that, application mapping or the relationships maps, right? So customer, whenever customer is able to hear, we need to be discussed, or we need to be finalized that particular things, where he wants what particular field and what he looking for to mandatory or non-mandatory, right? When I'm talking about mandatory and non-mandatory, means if the mandatory fields are not filled, CI will not allow to create by any source. If we are discovering example through CMDB or through discovery, and if the mandatory fields are not able to coming from the discovery, CI will not allow to create. Second thing, if we are, putting or uh, updating some of the classes through different sources, that should also be taken care, right? So end of the day, the thing is, we just need to be design this particular data model, and there is nothing big challenge to be designed. We just need to be designed on the Excel, on how look and feel will be like I'm just giving example here for Windows Server example. So in the first thing, I can put the configuration items field, basically basic configuration items field, which is just showcased here as a this one. So where the name, asset tag, manufacturer, company serial number, model ID will be there. Then we can design the these are the basic base configuration item fields. Then we can create the configuration item tab or CI tab. Then we have sorry. Then we have business attributes. Then we have application mapping. So in these particular things, we have to be designed. So let me take example of do I am able to copy? Yeah. See, so we just need to be put like that. These are the particular system or fields which is belongs to CI. Now, is this OS is mandatory? No. Okay. Operating system is mandatory. Yes. OS version not required, or what else is mandatory here? Might be description is customer is looking for mandatory. Yes, right. The same way business attribute. Now business attribute can be who is, if I go to the list and let me add that one example. Business attribute can be approval group, assigned to business unit, assigned CPU name. No, 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 no. Department. Environment. This. Location. Managed by group. Managed by if customer wants to add PO number as well, but it's not required. It's not part of the basically CMDB. It's part of asset supported by support group, support by yeah vendor and warranty expiration. So example. So if customer is wants to manage these particular attribute, approval group assigned to and these particular things, and that particular attribute is not able to discover through discovery, right? So that particular attribute you can populate here and mention what is mandatory and what is not mandatory. Like customer is looking for locations somehow. If we are putting any or we are pushing data from any data source, location should be up to date or assigned to or might be managed by should be up to date, right? By any source. So we have to be designed in that way our data model, and we have to be prepared and showcase these are the mandatory attributes, these are the non-mandatory attributes, and how the form look like basically for each principal classes or each primary classes which we have discussed here. Might be that can be possibility in Linux server. I'm just giving an example here. He's not looking for OS service pack basically, or he's not looking for OS version, right? So we can simply go and we can design that particular data model of the Linux servers in that way only. That particular field not be visible on the form or not will require to be managed or mandatory by the discovery, right? And that's the same way we have to be designed for each and every class, right? So what I do always, when I'm designing, I just create IE tabs in multi Excel in for multiple classes, like one tab for Windows server, one tab for Linux server, one tab for router, switch, firewalls, and so on, right? And populate this particular data model, build that particular data model manually, and just discussing with the customer. These are the attribute available on the Windows server. If you see, there are a lot of attribute available on the Windows server, right? And as you know, there are not possibility to populate all the attribute from the discovery. There are lots of attribute which is business attribute and which is coming from a manual way as well, right? So we need to be discuss that one, how we are going to be update if you want to be manage those particular attribute as well. So the third things comes in the picture basically to maintain the correct one is process to update manual attribute, right? So here again, just process need to be understand from the customer how he is going to be update or how we are going to be manage the manual attribute, right? Manual attribute can, there are two ways to do that. There are multiple ways basically, but the two ways are primarily going to use it. The one is they have third party system which they can say Linux. I see a couple of customers is using that one. So that have Linux, they are managing all business related attributes or manual attribute on the Linux, or might be they are using Excel upload where they have the data available on their Excels for one time. We can upload through Excels for the all classes, and after that we can design a further process. Further process can be, we can build a catalog where if any CI is going to be insert in the CMDB based on reference of that particular one, we can populate or we can insert the manual attribute as well for that particular classes based on the CI name or the serial number as a unique process, right? So we have to be design a process. So these particular things which is related to the manual attribute which customer is looking for should be up to date, because end of the day when we are calculating the health of the CMDB, these are the attribute comes in the picture most of the time, right? So what I mentioned, source, data model, process to update the manual attribute. I think these are the things, if I'm not wrong. What else I'm missing? Let me remind myself. Okay, I'm not reminding now, but yeah, these are the basic things which we have to be understand from the customer, how we are going to be update that one, right? Once that is finalized, now the things comes to just understand the CMDB, how the CMDB looks like basically, how the CMDB schema is looks like basically, right? So if I just go into CI class manager, Okay. Any questions first of all till now? Yes, Eklavya, you raise your hand.
Yeah, Jay. On your sheet, if you can turn it on. The last one which you mentioned about the manual, the process to update manual. What is Lean IX?
Lean IX is a tool or third-party product which is most of the time organization is using. I see, that's why I put it Lean IX. It's a tool basically, Lean IX.
And this is used for?
This is used to manage this particular basically manage to maintain that manual attribute data, or it just to manage that business related informations basically. Let me showcase you just example here. It's just like that. See, you can see.
Yeah, Jay, are you your screen up? I can't say it. It's just on one it's so side. It's showing very small.
Sorry, come again.
Are you sharing your screen? I
Yeah,
can't say it's not in full mode for me.
that's not in the full mode, but that's in the full mode basically, Michael. Guys, you are able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, maybe let me end the call. I will join again and see if it's gonna
Sure,
show.
because it's in full mode basically.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So what I mentioned, guys, Linux is just a software company focused on the enterprise architecture management, value stream management, and SaaS management, basically, right? So in simple words, if I say that is a product or that is a tool which is going to be manage my, business related attributes, business mappings, and lots of things like the same way. Right. So what we have to do, we can integrate with Linux to pull the data from there and populate in service now in the
That is
system.
again kind of a separate integration then.
Yes, exactly. So sometimes what customers do, like, doing mapping of their business applications to application services or technical services or related to the business attribute, they are managing on the Linux side because that is a enterprise solutions which is, again provided by SAP, and customer is using for their side as well, right? So that is the, basically it's good way. If you see here, Linux Enterprise Architecture is a SaaS solution that enable enterprise architect to establish and sustain a transparent as is IT landscape, identify opportunities to optimization, plan roadmap, and archive for achieve your business objective and try and transformation with a shared understanding of IT reality. So it gives the complete view of our IT landscape if we have used correctly for that, right? What is the SAP is, if you see SAP Linux document the organized IT landscape and architecture element using so-called fact sheets. Each architectural object such as application, business capabilities, IT component, etc., and its on fact sheet to store relevant information. If I just showcase, just oh no, okay. So if you see on the example, right? So here it will give you create the mapping as well, and it's just going to store your data, right, in good manner. So if you want to showcase to your management or the architecture or enterprise things, it will give you the more view, good view basically. I also not the part of the Linux, but I integrated couple of times just to pull the data from there to populate my manual attribute on the CMDB side.
Okay.
Okay.
Jay,
Yeah.
are we going to cover any of the integration? Probably like would be a good use case that how it is happening in the different tool and when we are doing the integration with ServiceNow CMDB, and we'll start seeing like the data from there to here and like how it is getting populated in the specific
It's
classes.
No, it's not that easy. if I need to do any integration, right? If you want to see the data, how that will looks like, how the integration is going to be populate, I will showcase for SCCM. But somehow, because it's not in every integration, if I just want to do with the real time scenarios that require licensing, right? That's not possible. So how basically the service graph connectors will work or how integration will work, I will showcase you here with the demo data.
Okay, so Surface Graph Connector, I mean, at least, I mean, with that, at
Mhm.
least some idea would be there. But anyways, I mean, as you mentioned about the Lean IX, is there any kind of Service Graph Connector is you have used in your implementation in order
I
to
don't
pull the data from?
know. For Linux, I don't think there is a service graph connector available. That's a pure REST API integration. Till the time, because till the time when I worked on it, it's REST API integration. If something changed recently, not sure, but yeah, let me check.
Honestly speaking, like, I'm trying visualizing the things, how it is happening in a different tool and how we are pulling that data in ServiceNow, making it more readable, more understandable for a user or probably like, for the customer, and like, serving the objective of the organization. So I'm trying visualizing that, but unfortunately I'm not able to see it because I guess we have a restriction
So
of having integrations.
right, but you just need to understand first of all, it just integrations like other tools as well, right? Like what if it just simply ask you, if you I ask you to integrate with ServiceNow to ServiceNow example, okay, what do? You required an API of that another ServiceNow system, if it is related to incident table or it's related to change table, right? Or if you are pushing or pushing some data to CMDB, you require the endpoint of it, you require credentials. The same thing here as well. When you are going to integrate with Linux, you require the Linux API, or and you require the credentials, and you will pull that, you will schedule the jobs from there and pull the data based on the conditions you have configured. Right? So some documentation is already available, but it's not that much free, right? So
Mhm.
it's not like that I can purchase something and I can showcase you. It's not that much
Okay.
easy products basically.
Okay.
Right. So if just if I like let me, I'm not sure you are able to see, I'm not able to big this one, but it just give the complete visibility. If there is one document available, which is SAP Linux product as well, right? So it gives the complete view of our IT landscapes or architectural management basically out of the box. Or it's just integrations to pull the attribute based on the my configuration item fields. My might be configuration item field will be the unique value might be name. So based on they are managing at their side on the Linux tool, and based on that we can pull it from there and populate the service now CMDB. And end of the day, when we are pulling it, just we have to do transfer mapping between source to target field map, and then we just updating there using the call as field. It's not that much risk, I can say complicated. It's just very straightforward integrations to populate the data basically. Okay.
Yeah, Jay, that's good.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone else?
Sorry, I have one more question. You were talking about like the health status of the CMDB.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, how we can just see the health of CMDB?
Okay. Now, let me ask you a simple question to you. How you are observing your health is correct or health is good? Might be on yearly basis, you are going for a health plan where you are going to do some test of your bloods, urine, or some other things, right? and based on that, doctor will showcase your update. You like, some some ratio of this particular bacteria or this particular criteria is increased in your blood cells, and you're not looks you feel not good, right? So the same way here in sorry, I just used this example, but in the same way in the ServiceNow CMDB, we can monitor the health of the CMDB based on configuring the couple of health rules here in the CMDB side, where we are saying, let's take an example of Windows Server. Windows Server, sorry, one moment. So here, like Windows Server, we have a 40 attribute if you are able to see here, right? Now, if if all 40 attribute is no, like we are not, it's not possible to update the all 40 attribute from discovery. And in that 40 attribute there are a couple of other attribute which is not required for me, right? Example, the attribute field, this is completely blank every time. Attested date field, attested by field, attested field, attested status, these are the complete every time it's blank, right? Now if it is blank every time, it's not populated through discovery or the manual process, and you have 40 attribute and these 5 6 attribute are always time blank, right? So automatically your CMDB showcasing this particular data is not correct, or this particular attribute is not up to date, right? So what we have to do, we have a health metrics or health rules available here which we can configure what customer is looking for. Means, as I mentioned, when we are designing the data model of the CMDB, we have to be design the mandatory fields. So if my all mandatory fields are populated through discovery, means my first of all my one metric is completed, that's 100% basically. Second thing, there are a couple of non-mandatory fields, but customer is still looking, that should be updated, because he cannot put mandatory, but end of the day he wants that should be updated by any discovery source. If that are updated, like example assigned to, that that particular attribute is not mandatory, this is a manual attribute which is not coming from the discovery again, but he wants, okay, that should be up to date. If that's assigned to assignment group, change approval group, or whatever the fields are there, if that's updated correctly, that will give the more visibility to end users or stakeholders who are referring the CMDB for their process management, right? Again, so we have to be configure that particular field. If it is 100% or 90%, so overall if it is 100 or 90, now it's 95%, right? So overall it's saying 95%. Second thing, this is all about, and that particular matrix we have called uh, correctness. I think correctness or completeness. I'm just a little confused on that one, but yeah, it's there are two things which we called correctness here. Then we have one matrix is compliance. In compliance, we are just trying to understand based on the configuration of the customer. If I just give an example here, sorry, like we have a what I say, we have Windows Server. On Windows Server, customer is only looking for if any Windows Server which is running below 10.0.01 antivirus version. Okay, might be antivirus is running on the Windows Server, right? But he's looking if any system which is running below this particular version, that will showcase a compliant machine. Sorry, that will showcase a non-compliant machine, right? If it is a non-compliant machine, means we have to be fix it. So that's not our job to be fix it, but we are just showcasing customer ki sir, there are a couple of machine which is not compliant because that's are not running on this particular version. Now we just create some task to them automatically, and customer is going to be fix it, right? The third thing comes in the picture is completeness. right? In completeness, there are three metrics again. Duplicate. If you have multiple duplicates available in the CMDB, did you say that your CMDB health is good or your CMDB looks good basically? Because whenever any IT process guy or any person coming into CMDB and looking for a single CI and he is able to find out 5 records, now he's confused which is the correct record and which he's need to be selected, right? So duplicate, then next comes is orphan. If orphan means basically which don't have any relationships with top and down, means if you're looking for any specific relationship for that particular ci and which is not available, example, you are managing a relationship runs on runs with applications. I'm not talking about that running application on that machine, but logical application, right? For every CI you mentioned that is a logical application and that should be have two relationships. But if the because again it's a manual process, you have to design a process to be maintain that particular relationships. But somehow that's missing for 10 CIs or 20 CIs or 50 CIs, right? So you can see you have the visibility. These particular have the CIs which have the relationships missing. Again, you can create a task and assign to the stakeholders to be map that particular applications. And the last is tail. If ACI available in your CMDB from last 90 days or 30 days and which is not up to date, right? So end of the day, how what we have to be manage the CI lifecycle as well, right? If ACI created in service now, that should be operational and that should be up to date every day or every alternate day or every week, right? But if it is not updating from last 90 days, what is the issue? Is that is might be that CI is decommissioned? Yes or no? Might be that CI have some discovery issues, might be discovery is not running due to some prereq issues, might be that's not updating through any other data sources, right? So what is issue behind that? If it is decommissioned, that should be moved to that non-operational or retired status. If it is not moved it, so that's a process gap, right? So we are just showcasing these particular metrics to customer to maintain or to observe the CMDB health, and based on that he can understand, yes, now my CMDB is looks good. There is no duplicate, there is no orphans. There means no duplicate, no orphan means it's not like that. No single record, but we can define, we can see, or we can showcase and give a the top I can say threshold to customer. If we are reaching out to 95% means my CMDBs looks good. If we are below 95% means we have still to work on couple of things which we have to be fixed it to showcase to our stakeholders, and that particular things will be managed. Basically we just configure that particular dashboards and all other things to the customer, but end of the day that particular things will be ongoing activities and which is going to be managed by their organization, CMDB managers, CMDB analyst, or related to the CMDB stakeholders. So because it's an ongoing continuity activity, it's not like that we just configured one time and that's okay. No, they have to be observed, they have to be worked with the stakeholders to be fixed those particular issues, because discovery is ongoing activity, updating CMDB is ongoing activity every day or every time they are provisioning new machines for their stakeholders, new applications, whatever, right? So it's an ongoing activity and they have to be track on it, and that's basically we can say operational activities. I hope I'm able to clear out your doubt now.
So Ajay, just one query on this completeness and correctness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have defined everything like all the parameters. Now you're talking about the creation of task and assigning it to the relevant class owners or the tower leads, something like that. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
to creation of the task and assigning, suppose there are 1,000 Windows Server CIs. Okay. Out of those thousands, there are 200 CIs which are not having the recommended field values.
Mm-hmm.
Then how we are going to notify those like class
So just
owners or the tower leads?
just create the data certifications task for that.
Okay, so that will be also like ad hoc, right? Like we have to trigger the data attestation task and they have to work. So one time they can do. So every time we have to trigger those data attestation task for the tower leads or.
No, as I mentioned, it depends on the process, right?
Mhm.
It depends based on that how the CMDB managers, want to be that process. Because in when we are working on any team, we have lots of issues, lots of things already going on, right? If
Yeah.
that is the priority for that, and and some organization, like in simple words, if I say, if you drop an email to me, Ajay, I need to can you help me out on this particular thing? I will ignore your email and will revert after 10 days, 15 days, whatever, when I have time. But if I just put some process there through the certification task and put some SLA. Okay, so
Mhm.
now I am bound to complete within SLA. If I'm not able to complete within SLA, might be the escalation will happen to the next level. End of the day, that CMDB activity is not just like CMDB manager thing. It's
Yeah.
it's whole operation teams is responsible for that. End of the day, we are managing for them. So how the things will happen in organization whenever I just put something on my dashboard and I'm going to showcase on my management. Okay, sir, this is how looks like, mandatory fields are missing for those records, or completeness duplicates, these are duplicate CI, these are orphan CIs, or these are stale CIs, example, right?
Yeah.
Now the what my next question from my management will ask to me, who are responsible for that, right? So if I just little bit dig down, I can see found out, Windows server, sir, Windows server have, these particular records. So means Windows team is responsible for that. Linux server have. Now they will, they will say, let's track this one, right? Now assign some task or some, things to the Windows team to be update their records, Linux team to be update their record. End of the day, that operations teams, which is Windows, Linux, or whatever, also reporting to the same CIO or CTO, right? They are
Mhm.
responsible for that. So if we are going to be tracked in a process manner, then the task is the good way. If we don't want, just drop an email to showcasing this particular things is missing. Go and update, show the things, right? Or provide that informations to us. We will update the CMDB.
Yeah, for that we have created CMDB class-wise dashboard also, but that is also not helping. I believe task creation will help here as per the process. Yeah.
Because in the task somehow you are bounding, you are reminding the task is assigned to them, and you are triggering some, or you're putting some SLA on it, right? That will
Yeah.
definitely going to help you out. So data attestation task is there, data certification task is there. Same way, orphan or stale CIS task is there. Duplicate task is automatically created. You no need to do anything for that, right?
Yeah.
So that will be there, and you can create, and you can apply for that one. And on top of it, if you just do want more, do reminding every day through an email. So if my email box is bombarding with every day with one remind email, definitely I have to do it now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if that particular things is not completed in planned, or in configured SLA, that will escalate it to the next level. Means example, in everywhere hierarchy is going to be followed, right? The task is you are going to be assigned to the engineers or junior engineers and all, right? But if they are not working, that you will trigger that email to their managers, and managers to managers, and there might be VP and then CTOs. So it's just a process, hierarchy process, which we have to be follow every time to be complete the things basically.
Yeah. Got it. Thanks, Ajay.
Yeah, no issues. Any other questions from anyone else?
Yeah, just a small question. I think
Yes.
for the Excel upload, we use the transform apps, right? Basic transform apps.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
That's the only, the way to data load using the transfer maps.
yeah. Okay.
But now, just like you asked me, there are different ways to that, right? Might be, you are not do want to be don't want to do manual work, right? So might be they have configured, or they have put it that every time, every week, the updated Excel on somewhere on the SharePoint, right? So you can create a data source for that particular data source, pull the data from this particular Excel using that Excel data source, right, and upload it here that as well. So that is one of the automated way. If you don't want to do manually, might be you schedule your data source on that particular time. So it will fetch the data from that Excels. After that you've done the mapping of that source to target fields and it will upload it,
Yeah.
right? If you want to do manual, you know the data sources, right? The
Hmm.
JDBC data source and Excel data source and SharePoint data source, there are lots of things available out of the box in ServiceNow.
Okay, Ajay, got it.
Okay, any other questions?
I do have because the health CMDB health something which is like not able to understand it
Oh,
very
okay.
thoroughly.
Okay, I just because I don't want to go now because not I'm sure I'm not able to complete today's session. That's why I just giving you this view. Let me showcase you this one. I definitely understand that's not that much easy. You are able to understand through theory. This is something practical, but this is my health dashboard. I'm not sure you have seen earlier or not, but there are the things which is not evaluated now. I have not configured anything here, but that can be configured for each class level, or it can be configured on the parent class level, or that are primary classes basically, right? It's not like you are going to evaluate the CMDB health for each class which is available in the CMDB. As you know, when you are discovering a device, let's take an example. I'm discovering a Windows server. With Windows Server, there are other 10 classes also going to be updated, right? Which is IP service table, which is disk table, which is RAM table, which is a network adapter table. There are lots of tables is going to be up to date, but we are not worried about each table, right? We are worried about our primary tables basically, primary classes basically, and for those we are going to be configured that one, because end of the day whenever my CMDB is utilized, that will be utilized for the primary classes only. Not no one is going to be select in incident that IP address table record, right? Because end of the day that IP address is connected to a host which is running in any Windows server, Linux server, or any different class. So this is particularly we are going to be configured. I will configure you. I will showcase. I will configure you, and there are some jobs which is running in the backend, which is updating this particular health dashboard based on the time. But whenever we have configured to be run this particular job to be execute.
So honestly speaking, like these are kind of a bouncers which is going overhead, not able to correlate, not able to like see that because uh, the when you say completeness, if you can just come down a little bit, I mean, if we can spend just quick 2 minutes, what is recommended, what is required?
Okay. What I
Sorry,
mentioned to you.
if we are
Definitely,
deviating,
definitely.
Yeah.
No, no, it's
then we will
waiting, but
discuss sometime else.
is someone
But
else
this
speak?
topic I'm not able to digest. Sorry.
No, definitely, Iklavya, I'm definitely agreed on that point, but that's my topic as well, but not for today. But yeah, we'll discuss on that particular part, right?
Okay.
When you
Okay.
say recommend and required, let me just showcase you practically. Right, I'm on the configuration item table. I'm in my health rules. This is my completeness metric. See, in completeness matrix, there are two things, required and recommended. Required is automatically calculating. You no need to be configure anything. it will be calculated on the mandatory attribute available on my CMDB tables. Okay, so whatever is mandatory on my CMDB on Windows server or Linux server, it will calculate automatically that one. Second thing, recommend I just mentioned you, like the manual attribute which is not mandatory, I cannot put mandatory with, that's not required to be mandatory, but end of the day I want that attribute on my CMDB records. That is recommended attributes. Example, approval group. Example, location. Example, assigned to. Right? I cannot put every or assigned to. I cannot put every attribute as in mandatory on the CMDB. Right? So let's take an example. These are the four attributes
No,
which I'm
that is
using.
understandable, because like there should be some kind of a baseline. That is
Hmm.
understandable. On the basis of that, like you pull the record and it evaluate on the against that, and like it is representing it over here. If I
Hmm.
just want to take a one step back, when you say required field scorecard, so that means definitely there would be some required fields. Can these required fields uh, we can see, or probably like manipulate anything in those required fields?
Hmm. So as I mentioned, just mentioned, bhai, you're not getting my point. Required fields is mandatory fields on the table. Example, let me showcase you in the different way. Now, if I go to configure dictionary, I'm just talking about Windows Server. What is required here? What is mandatory here? Let me see. Where is mandatory? Yes. So required field will be calculated. I'm talking about specifically, let's take an example of Windows Server. If it is mandatory, if I group by mandatory, and if I see there are all not mandatory, but I just want to calculate this particular one, I can put it mandatory and it will go to automatically in the required field metric. Getting my point means which field is mandatory we have configured through dictionary on a specific table, that will calculate it as a required field automatically. We no need to be configured that one. I hope you are able to
Yeah.
get it now. Yeah. Right? So it's configurable. We can like what now let me give an example here. For my CMDB, what is mandatory for me? Name, IP, or serial number. These are the three things which is mandatory. Let's take an example of yours. For you, how can I recognize you? What is mandatory for you? Your name might be your Aadhaar card or your PAN card, right? So I can put these three things mandatory. If these three things is missing, CI will not be created. My record will not will be created in that particular class. Or here means Windows Server might be name, Aadhaar card or PAN card, or name or serial number is mandatory, but that can be possibility for databases. Something is different. For network devices, the mandatory field can be different. That's why we are designing the data model on the first step, where we are asking or discussing with the customer and showcasing our consultancy. Sir, based on my understanding, these are the fields that should be mandatory to maintain my CMDB health correctly. Also, if you need, if you're looking, you want these particular attribute as a mandatory, I can go and configure through the dictionary. And whenever we are going to be run our health job matrix, that will update my health dashboard automatically. Getting it?
Yeah, Jay.
I'm able to. So that's I'm just trying to showcase you. Like whenever I just put any mandatory fields on any table, that will be calculated as a required health scorecard. Now this is just some threshold, right? Like as I mentioned, if I just want below, best is less than 5%, right? Means if less than 5% means here it's if my 95% are looks good, 95% CIs are correct, then I can say, yeah, this is my best CMDB Health. And then in that case, that will showcase green there on the dashboard here. It's not updated because I have not run it yet, but tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'm going to be showcase this one. If I can say this is, till 25 to 25%, it's just amber, means at least my 70% or 75% CIs are up to date. Now it's not risk or it's not, critical for me, right? But if my below 75% CIs are not updated, it means it's a risk for me, it's a critical for me. I need immediate actions to update my CMDB. So this is again something which we can track, which we can monitor, which we can configure from our side. I hope you are getting it, you're following me, right?
Yeah, I do.
Now what else? But another, if you have any other doubt, just feel free to ask, right? Might be I will able to help out with a different example, or might be I'm not able to get it some example now, but yeah,
Actually,
tomorrow I
I
will.
I I want to see, like, that, say example, we have one, or say example, five um, Windows servers or so. So how those things, on what basis, how we are, and saying, like, okay, how my customer says, like, okay, yeah, I'm living a peaceful life of, like, having where my infrastructure is absolutely in a good shape or so. So so I just want to have a, like, visuality of those things, to see that how it is look, feel, and all this. So that is the reason I was asking for this.
Yeah, definitely agreed. So that's why. And my best friend, I just tell you, I've never seen for any organization still now the CMDB is up to date for any organization.
Yeah.
I bet you on that side because I worked more than 40 projects for different organizations, for Indian customers as well, and the US and UK customers as well, and different regions. But I'd never seen the CMDB is up to date. They don't have any issue on the CMDB side. Because why? The issue is there because that is something basically operational things, right? That will be run operational way. If something is static, means if I just configured something and that will be static, means that will not going to be changed, but matrix will be changing, right? That's okay. But here data is coming in, data is coming out. That's a database, right? And if somehow if I missed to update the data, that will messed up everything, right? If I just not to be update the records which is retired quite years back or quite month ago, again might messed up. If some record is not inserted on the time on the CMDB, data is messed up. Another thing is if I have not updated data on the time, insert is something different, but I just need to be, let's take an example. Earlier assigned to of this particular server is Ajay. Now Ajay is gone from that organization, right? Ajay ID is deactivated, but still I can see assigned to is Ajay. We have not updated that one. That should be transferred to that another assigned to or the new manager who replace Ajay or who are taking responsibilities instead of Ajay, right? So if it is not there, we have not designed the process, we have not followed the process, things are messed up. And if these things are messed up, then these particular things in the comes in the picture which just showcase you the scorecard. I just see, I've not done anything. I just I just run this completeness scorecard, and if you see here where it is, it's showcasing me 60% recommended and required. Required is on, there are 3543 CIs, and recommend is missing for 3542 CIs. 100% CIs is missing. Now if you want to see on which CI is missing, you can go little bit dig down, right? CI missing required attribute, CI missing recommended attribute. On each table you are able to see the SP KG table. These are the record, these are the record, these are the records, right? This is one of the table where that, or as I mentioned, mandatory fields is configured on this particular table only. CMDB CI transition rule, which is required matrix. Now, if I go to this particular class, what is mandatory here? Okay, so basically this is just about the task if you want to be, but yeah, if I open where this particular CI one, let me open. Yeah, this is the CI. Mandatory is order, I think so, if I'm not wrong. And oh shit, I opened the correct table if I'm not wrong. CMDB CI transition rule table. Yeah. So mandatory is order, I think so here, and it's 0. So 0 is not required, means they are looking for some value here, right? And that's why it's showcasing it's only that is mandatory here. That's why it's come here, because it's out of the box instance. But when we are going to discuss with the customer, we are looking, and that's why we are designing the data model in the first place, to understand their requirement and showcase our capability as a consultant to them. These are the these are the attributes which should be mandatory to track it our complete health of the CMDB, and these are the recommended attributes I'm looking. Or sometime we have to require some input from the customer. Here if you see on the recommended, these are the CIS which I just configured the 4 fields, which is blank. If you see for this particular one, and spkj underscore list dot do, if I go here in this particular table, what are the fields we have configured? I think approval group, location, and assigned or assigned to. These are the 4 fields I've configured, right? See, all those 4 fields are empty for all. If I just group by, everything is empty. And what is the record? 71767. That's the same record available here. If I go back, not from, yeah, if I go back from this to this, one moment, I'm going back. These are the records only, 1767. So it now I have visibility. Okay, these are the CIs, these are the class on which my required attributes are missing or recommended attributes are missing. Now I have to fix it. So I can trigger some workflows to create the data, or some task, data certifications or data attestation task, which help me to fix that particular issues. But again, it's an ongoing activity. It's not a single job or single day job or 1 week or 1 month job. We can fix it. No, it's ongoing activity and it's running every time if we want to manage my CMDB health correctly. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are out of time. Any other questions from anyone else? Abhi, you raise your hand. Do you have anything?
No, just thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone else? Last. And just want to check with you guys, Farida and Michael. I hope you are following me. I'm not able to hear your voice or your questions. If you have any issues, you can directly ask on this particular form. If you feel or hesitate to ask here, you can directly ping me on the Skype, and I will able to help you out your queries as well.
Sure, Ajay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Ritam, you are unmute your mic and you want to ask something.
No, no, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, I think then we are good for today. Let's connect tomorrow. We'll discuss tomorrow about the CI class manager and the custom classes, and then definitely Eklavya will come back again on the CMDB health rules, how we can configure, what the things we have to be take care while we are configuring, and how it's going to be help out to run my CMDB in smooth way. We'll discuss on that particular part, and we'll discuss about IRE rules, and there are a couple of other capabilities available in the CMDB side related to the CMDB groups, query builder, or there are a couple of other things. So I think 3-4 days it required to be complete the CMDB, and then we'll move to the cloud one I think 1 or 2 days will take to discover the cloud discovery and other things as well. So meanwhile, I'm preparing my cloud instance so I can showcase you the live cloud discovery results basically.
Okay.
If that works,
Nice.
basically. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you guys. Have a good
Thanks.
day. We'll see you tomorrow at the
Thank you.
same time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.